when Vritasura was killed, all the presiding deities and everyone else in the three planetary systems were immediately free from everyone, that is, except Indra. Thereafter, the demigods, the great saintly persons, inhabitants of Pitriloka and Bhutaloka, the demons, the followers of the demigods, and also Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the demigods subordinate to Indra, all returned to their respective homes. While departing, however, no one spoke to Indra. Wow. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the other demigods returned to their respective abodes, but Indra did not. For he was disturbed that he killed Vritasura, who was actually a Brahmana. After killing Vritasura, Indra went to Manasarovara lake to become free from sinful reactions. When he left the lake, he performed an Ashwamedha Yajna and then returned to his own abode. What is this Sanskrit? Brahmesh Indriyaya iti Indrasya Sadishika Tasmat Manasarovarat. Sounds like that, although it's not in quote, it looks like this is basically the translation of the Sanskrit. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, "O great sage, what was the reason for Indra's unhappiness? I wish to hear about this. When he killed Vritasura, all the demigods were extremely happy. Why then was Indra himself unhappy?" This, of course, is a very intelligent question. When a demon is killed, certainly all the demigods are happy. In this case, however, when all the demigods were happy because of Vritasura's having been killed, Indra was unhappy. Why? It may be suggested that Indra was unhappy because he knew that he had killed a great devotee, Brahmana. Vritasura outwardly appeared to be a demon. Inwardly, he was a great devotee and therefore a great Brahmana. Herein, it is clearly indicated that a person who is not at all demonic, such as Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, may outwardly be a demon or be born in a family of demons. May outwardly be a demon or be born in a family of demons. You have feedback. Do you have your speaker on? Or never mind, it's okay. It's just when I speak, there's echo. Can you hear that?
No.
Whatever. Okay, not bad. Therefore, in terms of real culture, one should not be considered a demigod or demon simply according to birth. In his dealings while fighting with Indra, Vritasura proved himself a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Furthermore, as soon as he finished fighting with Indra and was apparently killed, oh, I didn't see the comment. Vritasura was transferred to Vaikuntha Loka to become an associate of Sankarshan. Indra knew this, and therefore he was morose at having killed such a demon who was actually a Vaishnava or Brahmana. A Vaishnava is already a Brahmana, although a Brahmana may not be a Vaishnava. The Padma Purana says, Shatkarma Nipno Vipro Mantra Tantra Visharada Avaishno Gurur Nasyat Vaishnava Swapakko Guru. Wow. Swapaka, a dog eater. One may be a Brahmana in terms of his culture and family and may be expert in Vedic knowledge, mantra, tantra, visharada. But if he is not a Vaishnava, he cannot be a guru. This means that an expert Brahmana may not be a Vaishnava, but a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. A millionaire may very easily possess hundreds and thousands of dollars, but a person with hundreds and thousands of dollars is not necessarily a millionaire. Vritasura was a perfect Vaishnava, and therefore he was also a Brahmana. It looks like, it looks to me like this verse says that somebody's not a Vaishnava is not a guru, but a Vaishnava who is a dog eater is a guru. But Prabhupada doesn't translate that, so I don't want to say for sure. So Sri Shukadeva Goswami, we have that word Shvapaka. What's that? Vinaya. What's that word where, the verse, how does that start where everyone is the same? The Hasti, Brahmane, Shvapaka. I forget how it starts. You know that one I'm talking about? Anybody on the line?
Are you talking about 5:18? Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavi Hastini?
Hastini. So Shapake, the dog eater. So here it says a Vaishnava, the last two lines, Vaishnava Guru na syat. Syat means may be. So na may not be a guru. A Vaishnava means a non-Vaishnava may not be a guru, but a Vaishnava, Swapaka, who is a Vaishnava dog eater, may be a guru. Swapaka guru. Anyway, it was a very interesting statement. Sri Shukadeva Prabhupada omitted that, I think. Anyway, no need to speculate. Sri Shukadeva Goswami answered, when all the great sages and demigods were disturbed by the extraordinary power of Vritasura, they had assembled to ask Indra to kill him. Indra, however, being afraid of killing a Brahmana, declined their request. King Indra replied, when I killed Visharupa, I received extensive sinful reactions, but I was favored by the women, land, trees, and water, and therefore I was able to divide the sin among them. But now, if I kill Vritasura, another Brahmana, how shall I free myself from the sinful reactions? Wow, favored by the women, land, trees, and water. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, hearing this, the great sages replied to King Indra, O King of Heaven, all good fortune unto you. Do not fear. We shall perform an Ashwamedha sacrifice to release you from any sin you may accrue by killing the Brahmana. The rishis continued, O King Indra, by performing an Ashwamedha sacrifice and thereby pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Super Soul, Lord Narayana, the Supreme Controller, one can be relieved even of the sinful reactions for killing the entire world, not to speak of killing a demon like Vritasura. Okay, I'll go up to 10. One who's killed a Brahmana, one who has killed a cow, or one who has killed his father, mother, or spiritual master, can be immediately freed from all sinful reactions simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Narayana. Other sinful persons, such as dog eaters and chandalas, who are less than Shudras, can also be freed in this way. But you are a devotee, and we shall help you by performing the great horse sacrifice. If you please Lord Narayana in that way, why should you be afraid? You'll be freed even if you kill the entire universe, including the Brahmanas, not to speak of killing a disturbing demon like Vritasura. Wow. Powerful verse. It is said in the Brihad Vishnu Purana, Namno hiyavati shakti, papa nirharane hare, tavat kartum nashaknoti, patakang pataki nara. Also in Prem Vivarta by Jagannatha Pandit, it is said, Ek Krishna Name Papir Yat Papakshaya Bahu Janme Sai Papi Karate Naraya. Naraya. It's Bengali. It means that by once chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can be freed from the reactions of more sins than he can even imagine performing. The holy name is so spiritually potent that simply by chanting the holy name, one can be freed from the reactions to all sinful activities. What then is it to be said of those who chant the holy name regularly or worship the deity regularly? For such purified devotees, freedom from sinful reaction is certainly assured. This does not mean, however, that one should intentionally commit sinful acts and think himself free from the reactions because he is chanting the holy name. Such a mentality is a most abominable offense at the lotus feet of the holy name. Nam no balad yasyahi papa buddhi. So, on the strength, balad means the strength of the nama, of the chanting of the name, papa buddhi, the papa sinful buddhi mentality. The Lord's holy name certainly has the potency to neutralize all sinful activities, but if one repeatedly and intentionally commits sins while chanting the holy name, he is most condemned. These verses name the performers of various sinful deeds. In the Manu Samhita, the following names are given. A son begotten by a Brahmana and born from the womb of a Shudra mother is called a Parashava or Nishada, a hunter accustomed to stealing. A son begotten by a Nishada in the womb of a Sudra woman is called a Pukasa. A child begotten by a Kshatriya in the womb of a daughter of a Shudra is called an Ugra. A child begotten by a Shudra in the womb of the daughter of a Kshatriya is called a Kshatta. A child begotten by a Kshatriya in the womb of a lower class woman is called a Shwada or dog eater. All such offspring are considered extremely sinful, but the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so strong that all of them can be purified simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The Hare Krishna movement offers everyone a chance to be purified regardless of birth or family. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Kirata, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, all these different tribes, Kiratas, Hunas, Andhras, Pulindas, Pulkasha, Abhiras, Shumbhas, Yavanas, member of the Kasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of devotees of the Lord, for he is the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Even such sinful persons can certainly be purified if they chant the holy name of the Lord under the direction of a pure devotee. Herein, the sages encourage King Indra to kill Vritasura, even at the risk of Brahmahatya, the killing of a Brahmana. And they guarantee to release him from the sinful activities by performing an Ashvamedha Yajna. Such purposefully devised atonement, however, cannot relieve the performer of sinful acts. This will be seen from the following verse. Interesting. Cannot relieve the performer of sinful acts. Why is that? You want to start? You want me to continue?
Yeah, I can read a few. maybe for 5 minutes or something. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, encouraged by the words of the sages, Indra killed Vitrasura, and when he was killed, the sinful reaction for killing a Brahmana, Brahma Hatya, certainly took shelter of Indra. Purport, after killing Vitrasura, Indra could not surpass Brahma Hatya, the sinful reactions for killing a Brahmana. Formerly, he had killed one Brahmana, Vishvarup, out of circumstantial anger. This time, following the advice of the sages, he killed another Brahmana purposely. Therefore, the sinful reaction was greater than before. Indra could not be relieved from the reaction simply by performing sacrifices for atonement. He had to undergo a severe series of sinful reactions. And when he was freed by such suffering, the Brahmanas allowed him to perform the horse sacrifice. The planned execution of sinful deeds on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord or undergoing prayaschitta, atonement, cannot give relief to anyone, even to Indra or Nahusha. Nahusha was officiating for Indra while Indra, absent from heaven, was going here and there to gain release from his sinful reactions. Following the advice of the demigods, Indra killed Vitrasura, and he suffered because of this sinful killing. Although the other demigods were happy, he could not derive happiness from the killing of Vitrasura. Indra's other good qualities, such as tolerance and opulence, could not help him in his grief. Purport. One cannot be happy by committing sinful acts, even if one is endowed with material opulence. Indra found this to be true. People began to blaspheme him, saying, this person has killed a Brahmana for the sake of enjoying heavenly material happiness. Therefore, in spite of being king of heaven and enjoying material opulence, Indra was always unhappy because of the accusations of the populace.
See, they even had gossip and slander in those times.
That's true. 12:13. Indra saw personified sinful reaction chasing him, appearing like a Chandala woman, a woman of the lowest class. She seemed very old and all the limbs of her body trembled. Because she was afflicted with tuberculosis, her body and garments were covered with blood, breathing an unbearable fishy odor that polluted the entire street. She called to Indra, wait, wait. Purport, when a person is afflicted with tuberculosis, he often vomits blood, which makes his garments bloody.
Yeah.
14, right? 13, 12, 13. Wait, sorry, 14.
14.
O king, Indra first fled to the sky, but there also he saw the woman of personified sin chasing him. This witch followed him wherever he went. At last he very quickly went to the northeast and entered the Manasa Sharova lake. 15. Always thinking of how he could be relieved from the sinful reaction for killing a Brahmana, King Indra, invisible to everyone, lived in the lake for 1,000 years in the subtle fibers of the stem of a lotus.
Wow.
The fire god used to bring him his share of all yagyas, but because the fire god was afraid to enter the water, Indra was practically starving. 16. As long as King Indra lived in the water, wrapped in the stem of a lotus, Nahusha was equipped with the ability to rule the heavenly kingdom. Due to his knowledge, austerity, and mystic power. Nahusha, however, blinded and maddened by power and opulence, made undesirable proposals to Indra's wife with a desire to enjoy her. Thus, Nahusha was cursed by a Brahmana and later became a snake. 17. Indra's sins were diminished by the influence of Rudra, the demigod of all directions. Because Indra was protected by the goddess of fortune, Lord Vishnu's wife, who resides in the lotus clusters of Manasha Sharova Lake. Let me read that again. Who resides in the lotus clusters of Manasha Sharova Lake. Indra's sins could not affect him. Indra was ultimately relieved of all sinful reactions of his sinful deeds by strictly worshiping Lord Vishnu. Then he was called back to the heavenly planets by the Brahmanas and reinstated in his position. So I guess I'll just stop there. That gives us about 5 or 6 minutes to kind of share anything, if anything comes to mind. If anybody would like to share.
There was something I saw.
I don't mind starting. I mean, a couple verses back, Prabhupada kind of, it made me kind of remember, you know, regardless of any sort of wealth we have, or regardless of sort of external things that we may have, we still suffer. We still have challenges and difficulties, and regardless of any sort of external success in the material world we may have, we still are prone to these certain miseries of life. When he was talking about how Indra was afflicted with these, you know, obstacles or pains from killing a brahmana. So I just thought that that was a friendly reminder to not think that just because somebody may have more than us externally, they don't go through the same things that we have, or the same challenges or difficulties. It's all about consciousness. So I like that point a lot. You know, we see all these celebrities, and sometimes wishful thinking or whatever may come in with you know, anybody, and then you see they commit suicide, they, you know, have alcohol problems, drug problems. So it's, yeah, where you go, you take your mind with you. Anybody else?
Well, I really like, I mentioned already, but I really like these examples that Prabhupada gives, like Prahlad and Bali Maharaj, who were demons, and all the list of the Huns and the Yavanas and all these as examples from Srimad Bhagavatam itself, that the non-Aryan communities can become devotees, and it's Prabhupada often mentions this, and especially Prahlad, and it's really a significant point, because we take it for granted that we're from a non-Aryan society. Of course, even Indian society is really not exactly an Aryan society anymore, but it's significant that we have this orientation towards, our society has orientation toward meat eating and in all these really primitive activities, and yet we take it for granted, really. I think it's something, for me anyway, it's important to kind of remind ourselves that what a horrible society is. There are some devotees in the movement, I mean, I don't want to say any names, but some prominent devotees who are really sympathetic to the American society or European, and their preaching goal is to sort of infiltrate the society and not display much opposition to the culture. And I agree that it's important to try any practical approach to preaching to people, but for me, that strategy doesn't exist. I just, in my life, having participated in that society, I don't see any value to it. I don't think, in comparison with Vaishnava culture, I just don't think it has value. Sorry, it was going on and on. I surrendered the floor.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Sri Devi Mataji, do you have anything? We haven't heard from you yet. Is she there? Okay. I guess we could just stop here if you'd like.
You have to unmute her.
Oh, I have to unmute her.
It says everybody's muted, I guess. I noticed Kurt was trying to talk too.
I don't know. I guess I put it on a certain setting today. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I was thinking what really struck me the most was how we cannot go on to commit sinful activities with pre-planned, premeditated, intention, and then say, okay, I'm going to chant my rounds and everything is going to be hunky-dory because now I'm chanting my rounds, Prabhu. So this is a very important thing because people tend to believe that I can get away with it, I'm a Hare Krishna. And so my Guru will forgive me, Krishna will forgive me, very merciful in this way. And so I can do this, and afterwards I'll just keep chanting and everything will be fine. So this is actually a very, very dangerous mindset because as we can see, Indra had to suffer so much and he's the king of the heavens. So what is of us with millions of sinful activities in our baggage that we are born with? So to me, that was very important that we have to conduct ourselves at all times, remembering that we are accountable.
I like to comment on that. I think that it's kind of a balance because that's a very dualistic position. It's like if we do that, if we commit sin on the strength of chanting, we're condemned. If we don't, we're not. I feel there's a balance because there's a stage in which we're being purified. And I personally know two very dear friends who they always tried so hard to be good devotees. And when they found that they couldn't be, that they couldn't maintain the standard of purity that they themselves thought that they should do, they just left. They tried so hard and yet they just left. So this dualistic idea that I have to be pure or I'm impure, it's not practical for most people. There's a place in between. And my personal understanding of the way Prabhupada presented things was that we have to be ladies and gentlemen about it. We can't just we can't become a big leader and say I'm pure and hide our impurities. We just have to continue to chant and to practice and to understand. And it's not that we have to advertise that I have all these impurities, but most people are actually in that middle category, and it takes a lot to become truly situated on a pure platform. And these instructions for many of us, especially if we haven't had early training and if we're whatever, we have contaminations that we have trouble getting rid of. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's an intermediate stage and it's a balance. We have to find that balance and we have to continue on. And I feel sad that, as I say, two very dear friends of mine where they came to that point where they just said, I can't do it on.
So it's 9:06. I think we could stop there if that's okay. And then Monday, I think Balaram Purnima is on Tuesday. Dayananda Prabhu, would you like to give class, or Sri Devi Mataji, would you like to give class on Sunday for Balaram's appearance? Anybody?
Sri Devi?
I don't think I'll be able to do that, Prabhu. I'm really sorry this time.
No
I
problem.
have an important date coming up on Monday. That'll keep me very busy.
Okay, no problem. Dayananda Prabhu, would you like to talk on Sunday?
Sure.
Okay, great. All right. Well, then we will see everybody on Sunday and then Monday. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Wait, all right.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Bhagawan, could you hold back just a second?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is just between us. I mean, anybody can hear, but don't forget, after Monday's class, I want